Now let's stay with that story on SA Express. I'm joined now via Skype by aviation expert Guy Leitch to tell us more on what all this means for the aviation industry and indeed the employees of SA Express. Guy, thanks for joining us so early on the second day of lockdown here in South Africa. Business rescue practitioners of SA Express believe the airline has no reasonable prospects of being rescued because it has run out of cash. Is the key word there reasonable? And will that be taken into consideration by the powers that be?
Yes, and it's absolutely the case. SA Express has been struggling for the past 3 years or so. In fact, it was going to be closed down 2 years ago and then got yet another bailout. Now the state, the government, really just cannot afford to keep these struggling airlines afloat, which also raises the question about the future of SAA and whether the government will ever be able to afford another 16 billion as provided for in the current budget for SAA. But back to SA Express, well, it's an airline that is not really absolutely necessary. There are already very effective and profit-making private sector competitors to to SA Express, most notably Airlink and Semair. Airlink has been making profits, returning tax to the fiscus rather than being a drain on it. Obviously with the clampdown or with the lockdown now, there's even less demand for SA Express. So I think it's absolutely true to say that there is no reasonable chance that Express could actually ever really be back on its feet and compete.
Now, speaking of lockdown, if you look at the numbers in terms of SA Express, it's quite it's eye-watering. Airline owing 2.8 billion rand to creditors, and that number, those numbers just keep growing. If you look at this in the background of the lockdown and what government is faced with, it really should be cut and dried that government cannot afford to save SA Express again.
Well, absolutely. A large part of the debt as well is tied up in leases of aircraft. For instance, I believe that Rand Merchant Bank is on the line for about 700 million rand in this lot as well. And these are almost certainly leases that have been guaranteed by the state. So it also will cost an enormous amount to close SA Express down, which is probably why government has been so reluctant to close it down so far. But eventually, you've just got to say enough. There is, as we discussed, no reasonable chance of success, and we cannot keep throwing good money after bad at SA Express.
Where does that leave the employees of SA Express? What happens next for them? Because there have already been reports that it's been impossible for them to get paid just in the last few months.
Absolutely, and I'm afraid there's scant comfort for the employees of SA Express. It's under business rescue. There was a large element of protection for employees, but once the airline is liquidated, then they're just cast out into the cold, as it were, and they'll have to do their best to find jobs elsewhere. So it really is very bleak indeed for the 800 or so SA Express employees, and of course all the associated jobs that go with those, the families and the jobs that go into supporting SA Express. Our real concern, though, is this a forebear of what will be necessary at SAA?
Thank you so much for that. Guy Leitch there with the latest on the SA Express stories, an aviation expert who joined us via Skype. Thank you so much for your time.